morning, everyone. I am Catherine Shirley, and that's KATHRYNSHIRLEY for the media. I am a board member of the American Heart Association in Los Angeles, and health happens where we live, work, learn, pray, and play. And one of our guiding values at the American Heart Association is meeting people where they are. Today, we're doing exactly that. Together with our supporter, Providence, we are bringing a life-saving tool to this wonderful house of worship, to its thousands of congregants, and the larger Inglewood community. Here in Los Angeles County, 1 in 4 adults, nearly 2 million, have high blood pressure. About half do not have control of their blood pressure. People with uncontrolled hypertension are at greater risk of developing chronic illnesses, such as developing heart disease, stroke, kidney disease, and dementia. And we'll hear from 2 gentlemen today who know this all too well. Understanding and addressing risk begins with knowing your numbers. That's a phrase we like to use a lot, knowing your numbers. The blood pressure self-monitoring kiosk we are unveiling today is about reducing health barriers and improving access so that it's easier for people to check their blood pressure regularly. It's putting power in people's hands to make the change for better health for themselves and their family. It's about meeting the needs of our community and ensuring that every person has the opportunity to live a full and healthy life. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Denise Colome, who is the Director of Health Equity for Providence, California. Denise.
Thank you, Kathy. Good morning, everyone. I'm Denise Colome, spelled DenisseColome. I serve as the Director of Health Equity for Providence in California. Providence firmly believes that health care is a human right, and to ensure that right, we must address challenges in accessing care. We have a shared goal with the American Heart Association to advance equitable health care in Los Angeles, where we're focused on reducing uncontrolled high blood pressure in our drive for health equity, as this issue disproportionately impacts communities of color. Black, Hispanic, and Latinos have among the highest prevalence of high blood pressure, and yet the lowest rates of awareness, treatment, and control. Last year, we supported 30 health centers and clinics that serve under-resourced communities through evidence-based guidelines, trainings, and tools to promote better blood pressure management, diagnosis, and treatment for more than a total of 245,000 patients collectively. This year, we're expanding our efforts through the placements of the state-of-the-art blood pressure kiosk in 4 accessible locations, including here at Faithful Central Bible Church, as well as Cal State Dominguez Hills, where we have the opportunity to reach more than 1,000 actually, students, teachers, and employees. 2 more will be installed in Orange County and throughout Los Angeles. Our goal is to provide community members a convenient way to learn the importance of changing their habits that can improve their blood pressure and know how to control them. Before I turn it over to Dr. Foster, I would like to deliver my message in Spanish for our friends in the Spanish media. Buenos días a todos. Soy Denise Colome, Directora de Equidad en la Salud en Providence, en California. Providence cree firmemente que la salud es un derecho humano, y para garantizar ese derecho, debemos afrontar las barreras al acceso de la atención médica. Tenemos un objetivo junto con la American Heart Association, que es promover la salud con igualdad en Los Ángeles. Ambos estamos enfocados en reducir la presión arterial alta no controlada, porque este problema afecta desproporcionadamente las comunidades de color. Las personas afroamericanas y latinas tenemos una de las tasas más altas de presión alta y a la misma vez una de las tasas más bajas de conciencia, tratamiento y control. Este año estamos ampliando nuestros esfuerzos con la colocación de kioscos de presión alta en 4 lugares accesibles. Aquí en Faithful Central Bible Church, al igual que en Cal State University Dominguez Hills, donde tenemos la oportunidad de brindar servicios a más de 500,000 estudiantes, maestros y empleados. Se instalarán 2 más en el condado de Orange y Los Ángeles. Nuestro objetivo es proporcionar a los miembros de la comunidad con una manera conveniente de controlar su presión alta regularmente y aprender la importancia de cambiar los hábitos y mantener los números de presión alta bajo control. Es un placer ahora presentar al pastor principal de Faithful Central Bible Church, el Dr. John Paul C. Foster. It is now my pleasure to introduce the senior pastor of Faithful Central Bible Church, Dr. John Paul C. Foster. Thank you.
Well, good morning, and thank you for being here today. My name is John Paul C. Foster, spelled John-Paul-C. Foster, It brings me great joy to be here with you all this morning. Here at Faithful Central Bible Church, we build champions for victorious living. We are the family of champions. In order to do this, we have to build champions, not just spiritually, but mentally and physically. To be here today, partnering with you and seeing this kiosk standing here in our sanctuary brings my heart so much joy. Because not only are we able to equip people spiritually when they come to worship, mentally when they come to our Champion Counseling Center, but physically, they can get the information they need to make the best decision to stay whole. Scripture says, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. This kiosk allows members and people in our community to make an empowered decision for their health so they can be healthy and they can be whole. There are thousands of people who come here and worship, and it is my prayer that when they come here, they know that Faithful Central is a place where they will grow holistically to be the person that God has called them to be. Because of the innovative leadership of the American Heart Association and Providence, we are able to be, to my knowledge, the first church, I'm going to say it one more time, the first church to bring smart health. The first church to bring smart health. I'm going to say it one more time. The first church to bring smart health. This is important because members and people in our community can bring their cell phones, get the information from the kiosk, and when they see that there's a red flag, they can go to their doctor and show them exactly what they experienced when they were in the kiosk. This kiosk, this machine, this innovation is going to help save lives. I think you ought to help me praise God for that. You're going to hear stories from others whose lives has been changed because of the information they received, and they were able to make the best choice in their life. I'm just grateful, and I want to say thank you for allowing Faithful Central to be a partner so that we together can not only impact lives, but change our communities. God bless you, and now help me praise God for our mayor in the city of champions. God has used him to transform our community, and I just see Inglewood going better and higher and higher. Please help me praise God for our mayor, James Butts.
Well, good morning. After an introduction like that, I think I'll just say hello and leave. I want to thank Dr. Foster, Faithful Central, American Heart Association, and Providence for doing this event. Now, I always ask my assistant, Sharice, I said, why did I get invited to things? I thought somehow that you guys knew my story. She says, no, it's only because you're the mayor. I'll have to tell you something. There's a scripture verse that says, there are none so blind as those that will not see. Now, let me tell you something. I've had access to quality health care since I was 19 years old, came into the Inglewood Police Department. Always been able to go to the doctor. I have worked out religiously and strenuously from the time I was a child, including into my adult years. However, I thought that meant you could eat what you wanted. And so when I was about 66, I had an ischemic event. And that's a rupture of a small blood vessel in the brain. And I was numb on this part of my lips. And so I went to Daniel Freeman Hospital in the Marina so I could be private. And I stayed there for a night, and they said, you'll be okay. And they're right. A month or so, I was fine. Fast forward to when I'm 67, sitting at home in bed. Sit up, and I say, something doesn't feel right. No pain in my arm, no pain in my chest. I just don't feel right. So I said, maybe I have indigestion. I'll get up and drink some water. Got up, drank some water, and I said, I think I'm going to go to the doctor in the morning. Laid down, and this has never happened before. Closed my eyes, and this is what I heard. Very clear, very resolute. Don't go to sleep. Jumped up out of bed because nothing like that ever happened to me, and paced the room and said, I better call 911. Called 911. The operator said, you're on a cell phone. We need your address so we can route the right paramedic to you. Well, I'm the mayor of Inglewood. I said, they're going to send an Inglewood paramedic. Everybody's going to say, something's wrong with the mayor. I said, never mind. Drive myself. Drove myself to Sentinel Hospital. For the first time in 50 years association with the city of Inglewood, the ER was empty at 1 in the morning. Walked up to the window, said, hey, he says, what can you do for you? I said, I don't know. I might be having a cardiac event. I says, I don't know. I have no pain. And he said, okay, and he gave me the clipboard with all the stuff to fill out. I said, did you hear me? I said, there's nobody here. I said, I'm having a cardiac event. Go get the charge nurse. They brought me in, gave me EKG. EKG was fine. Drew my blood, came back 5 minutes later, said, your troponin levels are elevated. You had a heart attack. I said, a heart attack? I said, I feel fine. They said, well, we'll take it again. Now, it's 45 minutes later. I got stuff to do. I got to get up in the morning and go to work. I said, call me if there's a problem, and I'll come back. Drove home, got to my driveway, called me. They said, you had a second heart attack. It's worse than the first. We're going to send a paramedic. I said, nope, I'll drive back. Drove back. They had a room ready for me. They had 4 doctors there, one from Cedars, one from Little Company Mary, one from UCLA, one from Brotman. And they said, here's the deal. You must really be an athletic person. Your arteries are 3 times the size of normal, but you have a narrowing in 2 places, your main aorta and the one on the left. And I said, so what are we going to do about that? They said, well, we want to put stents in, and we want to enlarge those blockages to 2 millimeters. I said, okay, so when are we going to do that? He said, that's why we're here. We want to do it right now. So 90 minutes later, they had made this little hole right here in my wrist. You can't even see it anymore. And they put 2 stents in. They went 2 stents in, and I went home. No, they didn't want me to go home. They wanted me to stay overnight. But see, I'm a stubborn person. I said, well, then that wasn't good at coming in and assume name. Everybody's going to know that I've had this incident. So I said, I feel fine. I think I can go home. They said, well, how do you know you feel fine? I got up, did 50 push-ups. They said, you're fine. Went home. They gave me the medicines. Now, this is a lesson for people. I want people to hear this and understand this. And they didn't impress upon me, or I didn't pay attention enough, that this one medication, Brilinta, I needed to take religiously until my genetic material covered the stents, or else my system would think I was hemorrhaging. And so when I run out of my medications, you know how we do. We I'll get to the pharmacist when I get time to. And one day, on March 8th, 2021, I worked out downstairs, came upstairs to do an interview with NBC Universal, and I could not a breath. And I said, okay, maybe like I'm overtrained, so let me lay down for a minute. And so I laid on the floor, and I felt like I had to throw up, still could not breathe normally. Got over on my stomach, tried to throw up, couldn't throw up, and then it's getting worse. My chest starts to burn. So then I rolled back over my back and said, well, now it's time to call paramedics. And I can't get up. Fortunately, my cell phone was on the table within arm's reach. Had one chance to reach for it, it was there. Called my assistant, it's 5:35. She leaves at 5:30. If she got in the elevator, there's no phone signal, that's the end of things. She's still there because a constituent kept her on the phone. Called her, called the paramedics. They come, they try to give me oxygen. They say, you're having a massive heart attack. There's nothing we can do about it. Please don't close your eyes. They take me to UCLA Medical Center. They clear the freeway for me. It's 5:30 in the evening. UCLA has doctors waiting there. They don't take me into the ER. They take me straight to an operating room. They make another little hole here, and they clean out the stent because it was my own platelets that were blocking the stent. So now I've got it. I understand. I have religion. And let me tell you what I learned. They said my life would be forever different. I would be weakened. I walk to the gym 6 days a week to LA Fitness from my home, 2.5 miles. I work out 40 minutes a day. But you know what the main thing is? I learned that 70% of how you're going to be is what you put in your mouth. And what you don't put in your mouth, salt, sugar, and flour. Okay? And this is my testimony. And so when I got this invitation, I said, how did they know? So what I want to tell people is high blood pressure, hypertension readings are an indicator that something is wrong. But it is so silent, it doesn't hurt. And I had high blood pressure for the longest. And I said, well, so what? I'm lifting, benching 300 pounds. I'm running to the gym. I'm fine, right? But you're not fine. It'll damage your kidneys. It'll damage your heart. And so none of us can say how long we will live, but what we put in our mouths will determine the quality of the life, of the time that we have to live. And so that's why I'm really grateful to be here to see that Faithful Central is providing an outlet for people to get this warning themselves. Now, I used to wear Seikos and Rolexes. I have this little $57 watch from Amazon. It takes my blood pressure. My blood pressure, I just took it as 117/78. See? Take care of yourselves. Take advantage of this kiosk. And thank you to Faithful Central for doing this. Thank you.
I understand it's my turn, so I'm going to mosey on up here. And Mayor, it's a blessing to see you still standing, because like most of us, we get stubborn and we want to say, I can go to the hospital myself. I can drive myself. I can do this myself. It's not that bad. I'll wait. I'll do it next week, next month, next year. And we find ourselves in a worse condition. I'll do my best to stay on track, but after your talk, Mayor, it brought so many memories of my stroke. My name is Richard Horton, for the record. Anytime the mayor comes up, if he doesn't introduce me, I'm so happy that I'm able to speak behind the mayor, so I'll introduce myself. My name is Richard Horton. I'm a 2-time stroke survivor. I am a father of two. I have two granddaughters, and I'm a 34-year life and health insurance broker. For years, I sold and counseled people about getting the right kind of life insurance so that they would not suffer strokes and not have any options. And here I am, a stroke survivor. With that being said, there's a couple points I want to be sure that I point out. And Mary, you really excited me because you took me back to 2011 when I had my stroke. The memory of certain things that I didn't know that I now know that I definitely do day in, day out. It's a way of life. One, my stroke happened on August 4th, 2011. The one thing that was so amazing to me, based on something you were saying, is I didn't realize I was having a stroke, but I had the symptoms of a stroke. And as a result of that, I basically said, after I woke up to the conditions that I saw that were similar to what I heard about a stroke, I walked into the wall, got up, said, feels like I'm having a stroke. Went back to bed, went to sleep for 2 hours because I had business to handle. Okay. I woke up later on in the day, was supposed to go to the funeral, didn't go, simply because I was feeling a little down and I had to get this client sold. Did that, and my wife at the time came back to the house rushing because she told her sister that I'm at home because I thought I had a stroke. Well, she was told to rush me to the ER. She rushed me to the ER, and next thing I knew, got to the ER. They said, we'll get a wheelchair, bring it out to you, and bring you inside. When I went inside, everybody was rushing and running everywhere because they had gotten the information that I had a stroke. And I'm not a mayor, so I don't have the kind of opening that he had. Okay, but nonetheless, I was really treated with the high level of care that needed to be done. And I come to find out years later that if you walk into a hospital and you're dealing with symptoms of a stroke goes to the top of the class. You go to the top of the class. That's over heart attacks or whatever. I don't know how they would have treated me if I was in the same hospital as the mayor, but nonetheless, that's the way it is. And it's important to know this stuff because we walk around postponing and ignoring things that we need to deal with right away. So with that being said, my situation occurred because approximately 10 years before my stroke, my doctor, I went in just for a general checkup, and my doctor said, Mr. Horton, your blood pressure is high. We'll check it again after the end of the exam. And they checked it again, and they found that my blood pressure was still high. Doctor said, well, Mr. Horton, once you come back next Friday, we'll check it again then. So I came back the following Friday, he checked it again. My blood pressure was still high. He said, Mr. Horton, I want you to come back next Friday, and at that time we'll make a determination as to what we should do about your high blood pressure. So I came back the following week, and he checked my blood pressure again. He said, Mr. Horton, your blood pressure is still high. He said, but what we'll do is keep an eye on it, and if it gets much worse, we'll prescribe some medication, this sort of thing. You guys got to realize baseline blood pressure is 120 over 80. 120 over 80. Mine at that third check was 178 over 95. I was at stroke level. And so I'm saying to myself, now that I know, okay, I was ignorant of this stuff in the beginning, but now that I know, why didn't the doctor sound the alarm? He didn't. So 10 years later, I'm now sounding the alarm. I don't have a choice because my body is saying, you're shutting down, because I was a ticking time bomb, literally a ticking time bomb. And thank God, God had a bigger plan for me than the doctor did or the doctor was aware of and so forth. And I said to myself, and I say this to all of you, if you go to a doctor and if you stay on top of your health matters, one, you got to own your health matters. But if you go to a doctor and the doctor is not going to say to you that you need to get to the doctor and I need to treat you for whatever the medical condition is, and you turn around and find yourself feeling ill, sick, out of the norm, that doctor should be replaced. That's my opinion. That's my personal opinion. That doctor should be replaced because, one, he doesn't care, or he's ignorant. And so you have to own your health. So what happened to me is I went to my doctor. He turned around and said, we'll keep an eye on it, and if it's much worse, we'll do something about it. Well, there's not a lot more that he could do than tell me what he told me at the time, for whatever the reason was. So from that day forward, I walked through life with this ticking high blood pressure raging in my body. And because my doctor told me that my blood pressure was fine, because he said, and I laugh now because I'm living, he said, you African Americans have a higher blood rate than whites and others. So with that being said, I'm thinking that I know I'm an African American, but at the same time, he's telling me something that I didn't realize. He said that African Americans have a higher blood rate than whites and others, and that's not the case. The baseline blood pressure is 120/80 for everyone. So with that being said, I walked through life, and then in 2011, I suffered the first stroke on August 4th. 30 days later, I suffered a second stroke on August 30th. The point of the matter is, these things are preventable, largely preventable. But if we don't know the signs, if we don't have a kiosk, if we don't have sources so that we can be able to monitor our blood pressure and don't know what baseline blood pressure is, we turn around and walk around thinking we're fine, but we're not. When there's a situation that's preventable, we can do things in advance. Nobody wants to go through what I went through. I suffered the stroke on August 4th, 2011, and within 24 hours, Mayor, I didn't feel a thing. I didn't feel no pain, no suffering whatsoever. But the next morning while I was in the hospital, I couldn't walk. I could hardly talk. I could not use my left arm. My left side shut down totally and completely. And I didn't feel any pain, which was the oddest thing about that. And the only way I could describe it is it felt like the left side of my body had died. And that was the only thing that made sense to me. And basically, the doctor said that those functions that you had on the left side of your body, they have died. But I come to find out, because you gotta own your health. I come to find out that I could regain the pathways to that part of the body and begin to recover. So I'm not walking like I used to, not walking like I want to, but at the same time, I'm much better than I was, okay? I was in the hospital for 2.5 months. The doctors told my wife at the time that she should call friends and family because they didn't think I was gonna live. I'm still living. The fact of the matter is there's so much more we can do and not have to go down that path, and thank God for you, Mayor, and me, that God had another plan for us. But the reality is, so often that doesn't happen that way, so it's important that we do what needs to be done in advance and take advantage of this Providence kiosk or whatever we need to do to stay on top of our health, because our health is not the responsibility of our doctor. We give it to a doctor, but it's ours. It's imperative for us to know what's going on and monitor our health and make sure we do what needs to be done for our best health. A couple of things I want to say, and I want to get off the stage, because I feel that there's an energy that wants to get up here as soon as possible, and I don't want to take up that energy. A couple of things that are important. Is the consequences of a stroke. People have to realize it's not just a matter of talking about the conditions. It's important to know what's lost if you don't monitor the conditions in advance. You damage your ability to see as clearly as you can in a lot of cases. You lose the ability to walk in most cases. You lose the ability to communicate. Speech is one of the biggest things that people tend to use as a tool to look at if you're having a stroke. There's a stroke condition in the school of stroke that's called aphasia. You don't want to go there. but you don't have any choice about how that's going to end up if you don't monitor your health in advance. And blood pressure is one of the biggest proponents of monitoring your blood pressure and keeping these conditions from coming over you. For me, these are things that I realize that affect, with high blood pressure, you're damaging your heart, your kidneys, your liver, and other vital organs. So these are things you don't see. You may think it's just a brain thing or something coming from the mind, and it does affect the brain, but you're damaging so many other parts of your body simply because your blood pressure is up. In closing, Pastor, in closing, I want to say after a stroke, life is not over. And a lot of times that's what we do, is we settle for the conditions that we deal with after a stroke. Since I had the stroke, I formed a nonprofit corporation to raise stroke awareness. In addition to that, as a result of that nonprofit, I was asked by the Pasadena branch of the NAACP to become the health chair of the Pasadena branch. I did that. As a result of being the health chair, I was asked to consider being the vice president. I became the vice president of the Pasadena chair, Pasadena office, for 2 terms. I since have left that to do other things in terms of building the platform of insurance. I really want to just stress with you, as a result of my stroke, I've been able to save at least 4, if not 5 individuals' lives because I know the signs of stroke. So it's been a blessing for me because I don't take it lying down. But at the same time, the majority of folks fall into depression simply because of strokes. And it's not something that you have to get into or have to do if you do the things that you must do for your best health in advance. In closing, I want to say we must own our health. We can't give it to anyone. It's what God has given to us, and it's our responsibility. And I just want to thank the American Heart Association, as well as this ministry, in terms of allowing me to stand here and speak before you. And hopefully, some of the things I share can help make a difference in your life. All right.
Thank you, Richard. That was amazing. Actually, all you guys were amazing. The information I'm re-inspired by. My name is Brian Kennedy, BrianKennedy. I'm a 4-time Grammy Award winner and the founder of Hits to Healing, not-for-profit, which we focus on health equity and music education. In 2008, I got the shock of my life. One, I had the 2 biggest songs in the world at the time. I moved from Kansas City. I was here to pursue a dream like everyone, and it happened. I had these big records with Rihanna and Chris Brown. Started getting massive migraines, headaches, so I would go to the dentist to get my wisdom teeth pulled, and he checked my blood pressure, and it was literally off the charts. It was like 190, almost 200 over 1 something, and I was instructed to go to the emergency room, and I was like, yeah, I got a session with Rihanna. It's not about to happen. And they called my mom, and she was like, go to the emergency room now. So I went to the emergency room. I check in, doctors come out. They take me to the back, and they look at me and said, hey, you are about to have a stroke, or something's happening for your blood pressure to be this high. We got to check you in. And it ended up being renal kidney failure, FSGS, and my life changed before my eyes. Yeah, I heard about hypertension. I heard about, high blood pressure. It was so normalized to hear these things in our family and our community. Like, oh, my uncle got it, this got it. But I didn't realize that I could be so young and it can affect me. So I quickly changed my diet, tried to do the right things to make the right efforts. 6 years ago, my brother Kevin, thank God for him, gave me his kidney, a new lease on life. And since then, I've been, so fortunate to be able to tell my story, share it through the foundation, and also say it's manageable. It's important to, take your blood pressure, to, get rest, and just simple things you can do to change everything. And not to take too much time, but I'm just grateful and fortunate to be able to be a voice to help others. And your health is in your hands. It really is. Like, you have the choice to wake up and not push it to the side, because it's easy to say, I'm gonna go to the doctor next week. And even now, it's a practice. It doesn't stop because you feel better. Don't mean you are actually better. So my thing is, if you can feel it, you can heal it. I'm Brian Kennedy again, and thank you guys for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Dr. Foster. Your words mean everything, and it's really going to make a difference in people's lives. So at this time, I want to invite everyone over to the kiosk here for our blood pressure. And let's do this ribbon cutting. And for the media afterwards, you're welcome to come on up and get some B-roll for the kiosk here in operation, and talk to any of the speakers as well.
I'm going on there.
Come on, man.
Sure, you gotta have it here or it won't cut. Okay? If it's out there, it won't cut.
Okay.
Keep it there. You ready? Now open it up a little bit. Don't cut the big. Right here. You ready? No, wait, no, you don't. Hold on. Now first, wait, take your pictures now. Take your pictures now. Now on three, he's gonna pull up and she's gonna pull down. 1, 2, 3. Thank you for your service.
Group photo.
Okay, you guys, so like it's a wide thing, so let's stand at 45 degrees. Okay.
You can close anything.
And you stay flat. Got it. There you go. All right. Well, wait a minute, did she take one for the church?
You got it?
Who's doing the church?
You got it.
Well, let's go over here for like 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock.
There you go.
All right. All right.
All right.
All right.
Thank